Welcome back to episode 93 of the Block Runner podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, fellas?
All right, today we're bringing you Daniel Kim, part of NFTBank.ai. Thank you for being here, Daniel.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So yeah, we got a couple of questions for you. I think the both of us are spending a lot of time in the NFT space. I guess kind of take us through the origin story of NFT Bank.
Mm-hmm. I myself am a data geek. I'm a data scientist.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've started digging in blockchain traces since back in late 2017. Especially, I was at the Clayton of Kakao blockchain subsidiary. I analyzed the entire Ethereum blockchain. And by that time, I encountered the blooming activities of NFT spaces. Got really fascinated. That's why I tried to buy myself. I personally tried to buy NFTs by myself. But then it was really hard for me to figure out the right price for NFTs. So I went back and forth multiple websites from DevRadar to OpenSea to come up with right valuation. But it was too hard. But then after buying new NFTs, it was also difficult to manage them because often the NFT assets were scattered around my different wallets for each game. So I was thinking that we definitely need a tracking tool to manage my assets in one place. So yeah, that's the beginning of our project. I started NFT Bank as my personal project last year, and then my former colleagues from the Clayton start joining my team, and then our team has grown to 6 people.
Oh, wow.
Mostly our team consists of data engineers and data scientists specialized in blockchain data, especially NFT data.
So that's interesting because like you're saying, there's a huge missing piece in the NFT space in trying to gauge the actual value of a particular NFT. And I know that typically an NFT's value is based on what somebody's willing to pay for it. So what are you doing around, like, how do you gauge the value of an NFT to give like a number to somebody of their portfolio? Like, how do you know when it goes up or when it goes down?
So we are not engaged in forecasting of NFT assets price. Okay. Forecasting is really hard. Like, you cannot see the future.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Then we extract the historical pattern of how the price goes up and down, and then what factors contribute to the changes in price. So yeah, we do data mining for that. For NFT art, like crypto arts, it's really hard to value it because emotional or sentimental aspects really matter a lot to valuing the crypto arts. But then for NFT collectibles like CryptoKitty or X Infinity or MCH, they do have traits that contribute a lot to the price. For example, rarity. And then for Metaverse NFTs like DCL lens or the sandbox lens, the agency really matter because like even if your NFT was never sold before, that's why there's no price tag for that. But then your neighbors do have the price tags. So
Sure.
We try to pull the information from your agent lens, and then we somehow figure out the right value for your specific NFT.
Interesting. So have you been able to sort of generate some, like, not necessarily a projected value, but do you see NFTs increasing in value based on what sort of metrics? Like, for example, like for land, do do you see like a higher land value when there's content on that land? Like, are you able to distinguish like what would make this particular land more valuable than that particular land? Like, how do you distinguish the two different values?
Oh, that's a really good question. So for crypto voxels, on their website, they present number of visitors on your voxel, right? So we use that kind of metadata as well. So for crypto voxel, number of visitors definitely, the traffic definitely contribute to the rise in the price. But then for DCL, even if there must be a stats for that, they do not publish to the public. So we cannot use that information into our model.
Okay.
But then for DCL, overall, the historical price of your neighboring lands really matter a lot. Besides, not only the DCL, but most of the NFTs, like the ether price of at a certain point of time really also matter. So
that's true.
For example, if the Ethereum price really rises greatly, then people got hyped, and that they sometimes overpriced the NFT asset, and they pay a lot, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of human factor and behavioral factors also really matter and then we take all of these kind of information into account.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. This is extremely interesting because this has so many like implications, like even broader than like what the NFT space is. Just data in general to me is fascinating. I'm kind of interested in just kind of understanding like what your day-to-day life is like as a data scientist or engineer. Like you guys, you have like 10 screens in front of you, just like nonstop, like matrix looking data just coming up and down, and you guys just can decipher that. Like, how do you decipher all of this data? Do you create like algorithms, artificial intelligence? How does that work?
Oh, that's a good question. So, in our team, we have 6 people, and we have specific like task job. We have data engineer. He takes charge of the entire data pipeline and architecture. So his focus is more on integrating, the on-chain data and off-chain data from NFT marketplaces, and then also on-chain data from the dApps. And then I personally spend more time on analyzing the stuff and then try to figure out the general pattern or statistically important features out of the raw data. And then we also have machine learning engineer who makes machine learning model out of these features. And we experiment lots of different models. We try to figure out which one works best. And then we sometimes, we do have a ensemble data, like machine learning pipeline. So we do not use just single model, but we use multiple model at the same time. And then we try to aggregate all of the results into a single model to boost the accuracy for it. Yeah. And then,
how do you get confirmation of like the success of everything that you're building as far like as a model? Like what do you use to gauge accuracy? Yeah, performance.
Yeah, that's a good question. We do lots of back testing. So let's say that we hold out certain data set from, for example, July to December. We just hide this data set. We assume that we never seen this data at all, and then we train our machine learning model using the data before this certain time of date, and then and then after finish building the model, we try to predict the time frame of the hidden data points. And then we try to see how accurately we predict the price. But then since there are also there are lots of outliers due to wash trading, we try to first figure out the wash trading, the outliers, and then we filter them out so that our models are not fucked up by outliers.
Sure. So is wash trading like just super obvious to you? Like you could just tell right away?
Oh yeah, it's not really super obvious, but then we can get rid of them most of the time, because there are certain traits that the wash trading often reflect. For example, you just have new wallet address, and then you just sell certain NFT. You sell your NFT to certain new wallet for very expensively. Yep. And then we figure out how certain or how believable this event can be by the probability. Yeah, and then we sometimes we hand select the wash trading cases by ourselves, and then we make a training data set, and then we try to predict how accurately we can predict whether this is wash trading event or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you could essentially go back and find the source of money for funding the two different wallets doing the trading. And if that source of the money is the same, then right there you can just throw away that information.
Yeah, but then people got really smart on wash trading. They try lots of different tactics to avoid being caught. But then our model also evolves
to account for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy to think about where this can go. So right now it's just figuring out like how kind of like the behavior of the market, right? Like that's like the phase that you're at is analyzing all the data and then structuring the, I don't know, maybe like the psychology of it, but like in data form, right? So that you can actually build tools on top of that. So I guess let's jump into more of like the tool aspect of what NFT Bank provides to their members. Like I guess like on a basic level, like who should be using, like who should go to NFTBank.ai and like what should we be doing there?
Of course, every NFT collector should use NFTBankai.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because once you buy an NFT, for example, to play a crypto game, but you cannot consider NFTs separately from financial assets, because you pay the upfront cost for acquiring NFT assets, but then once you buy one, you constantly have to think about what's the worth of these NFT assets, because people usually now considering NFTs as their financial assets. They definitely have to look at the value or look at how the community of which the NFT assets are on. You have to always pay attention to that. And then not only that, but also you can find new opportunities from our Explorer page, and then you can easily manage your multiple wallets. And then also we will also release lots of interesting financial products based on NFTs. For example, NFT insurance. So people have hard time getting into NFT space because they have to pay upfront, and then they are afraid of being the last person to hold this asset, because there will not be a next person to buy my NFTs if I want to sell later on. So there is a liquidity problem. But then if we can somehow maintain the value of your NFT assets, then people can be more they are more willing to get involved. So definitely the insurance system would make sense. Besides, the NFT collateralized loans also make sense. So yeah, we will host all kinds of financial products later on in our platform, so that people can, NFT collectors can leverage their NFT holdings.
Can you explain a little bit about an NFT collateralized loan? What would, let's say you have an NFT and it's collateralized, and it's in that collateral is embodied in this NFT. How do you what exactly is collateralized? Is it just additional crypto and it's locked into this this representation of an NFT?
Oh, so our first version will be very simple. It's just P2P version. So on our NFT bank, there is a tab called inventory. It's not open yet. It's upcoming feature, but on our inventory page, you can see all of your NFT holdings.
Okay.
And then if you want to make a loan against your NFT, you can just click borrow.
Oh, I
button.
see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's it. We will find people to fund your NFTs. You can borrow money from them.
So basically, so what you're doing essentially is you're collateralizing your portfolio into a loan that you can exchange that NFT for crypto funds to do whatever you want with, and then you, I guess you manage how you pay that back, right, through a smart contract.
Right.
That's interesting.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then the key thing is that we provide the LTV, the loan to value ratio, so that people, like, they do not have to negotiate by themselves, but then we provide the optimal price and then optimal LTV so that they can have informed decision on that.
What have you seen so far as, I guess, what's the weirdest type of NFT that you've seen? Is it so far the collateralized NFT? Is it, I mean, what have you seen?
I mean, these days, lots of interesting experiments are going on, like NFT mining, or like similar to the yield mining from DeFi space. And then there is also scheme for staking. If you stake your NFT, you will get reward, and then all kinds of crazy stuffs are going on. NFTs are now meeting the DeFi space, and they are being converged, I guess.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah, a lot of interesting stuffs are going on. That's why, people like, and then have you heard of NFT, like NFTX or NFT?
Oh, NFTX.
I don't know.
It's called
the
NFTX.
fractional ownership thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also very interesting. In real world, we have structured finance for that, securitizing the illiquid assets to make it liquid, so that more people can get in.
Sure.
That also makes sense, and that market would grow definitely. Yeah, I mean,
do you have any plans to maybe incorporate some of that into your platform? Or I mean, there are two separate platforms, operating different functions. I guess NFTX is the asset segregator, I guess, turn them into individual investable pieces.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like you guys have like a huge list of future features in the works. Does it make sense to you maybe to, I don't know, like a future partnership with them, since your platform is all about managing kind of like your wealth and NFTs, right? So I don't want to like bait you into like, saying something you're not trying to, we don't want to say maybe this early on, because you guys you recently launched, right? Like how long has your platform been out?
It's been a year.
Oh, it's been a year?
Yeah, we started last year, December, and we tried lots of different prototypes. We tried like 5 different prototypes, and we got more than 100 feedback. And based on that, we narrowed down the problem, and we finally launched our official version of NFT Bank a month ago.
So then your process has kind of been like, because that's how you guys contacted me. You kind of just like you're reaching out, I guess, to the community of NFT collectors, right? And then you're looking for feedback and see whether or not it's a platform they want to use, right? Is that how you're gauging your design, pretty much?
Right. Because a customer is king. We definitely need to bring value to the people who are using our platform. So the feedback is very important. our team is feedback driven team. So we try to listen as much as possible from our user, so that we can come up with new features that they might use, they might appreciate in our platform. So yeah, we do lots of focus group interview and person-to-person interview. Yeah, we do.
Can you talk about what the business model is for NFTBank.ai? Like, how do you generate revenue?
So for now, we do not have any monetization plan for that.
Okay.
We got funded by well-known figures. Hashit is very well-known investor in crypto space. Hashit also invested in X Infinity and the Sandbox, lots of different dApps.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and Hashit is also one of our investors. So we got funded, and yeah, and then but later on we definitely way to monetize this product. But then the basic version, the current basic version, we will not charge for that. But then for the more advanced feature like NFT trading later on, we may charge for the advanced features.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, congratulations on the investment and 1 year operating the business, man. I know how difficult that is. So yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're almost at our 1 year mark ourselves. Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely not the easiest of space, like to. I mean, it's easy in the sense that there's tons of opportunity because it's such a new space. Like what you're describing right now, it's like when something is so new, there's so many holes that need to be filled. Right. You know what I mean? So there's so much opportunity to create these products and to service the customer base, I guess. So which is good. It's just right now the community, the user base is kind of small, but it's growing more every day. Right. So it makes sense in the beginning. It's monetization isn't like something achievable at this point, because the market is so small.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess from an investor standpoint, you have to be able to extrapolate, once this space grows 3, 4, 5 years down the line, there's going to be so much opportunity, especially in your position, because data collection is like probably one of the most valuable resources in the tech space, isn't it? As from what I've heard, everybody keeps saying data is the new oil. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah. So this is interesting.
Talk about. I'm curious on the particular NFTs that you're seeing. Like, what so far out of the entire volume that you guys are sort of like aggregating into your platform, what's the percentage of the different types of NFTs? Is it mostly art? Is it mostly DeFi? I mean, what percentage?
I guess for now we've listed only 15 projects, and I guess 4 to 5 of them are Metaverse related NFTs, and then 3 of them are crypto arts, and then the last will be digital collectibles like CKA, MCH. Yeah.
Out of the different types, where's most of the value being collected? Is it the art, or is it? I mean, where's the value at?
Metaverse. The half of total market NFT total market cap is captured by Metaverse NFTs.
About half. Wow, that's an interesting data point.
Yeah, it's $100 million worth.
Holy, $100 million. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's 100 million in those NFTs, Iman. Can you believe that?
You wouldn't assume that in today's climate, just because it seems like art is dominating currently. I guess they make the most noise, like in the zeitgeist, I guess, the NFT zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But the metaverse kind of like has been around the longest, I guess, since Decentraland. It was a 3-year-old project, and I think they acquired a lot of value in those 3 years. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just so Well, yeah, I guess a good question to ask you, since you're pretty much, you have to be so consumed by NFTs at this point that like, where do you expect this whole thing to go? Like, in the future, I don't know how much time you spend thinking about the future. I don't know. So
Yeah. What?
kind of give us your thoughts and opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think we've seen like the actual final dominant use case for NFTs, or do you think there's like still more to come?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Mm, I can see the interesting future from the convergence of DeFi and
Yeah.
NFTs.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah, I mean, in real world, we have lots of structured finance based on the commodities or real estates, right? We have lots of different financial products based upon these existing stable, or it's not really stable, but then reasonably stable the underlying assets. So same thing comes here. So based on NFTs are usually more stable than ERC20 tokens because people believe that there must be some value and utility on the NFTs. That's why the price does not fluctuate as much as the ERC20. That's why it's good instrument for a structural finance, I guess. That's why once NFT meets DeFi, then it's gonna be a huge thing, I guess. But then
that's part of the reason I would imagine your explanation would make sense for the metaverse because it's a little bit more stable asset compared to an ERC20 token. And then like you're talking about, the utility of the NFT is visual. Like you can go and stand on a Decentraland piece of land. You wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, it's not the same when looking at NFT art. I mean, you can look at it and then it's not the same, right? There's a little bit more tangible aspect to land, which would feel like it's more valuable, right? And then on top of that, you can build on top of the land. So then there's like this clear sense of value on particular NFTs. So I wanted to ask you, so we're gonna definitely submit our NFTs to your platform, no question. But the types of NFTs we feel like are sort of brand new to the space, and one that I wanted to ask you about is we're working on NFTs that generate revenue. And the individual NFTs that generate revenue are essentially deployed onto Decentraland, and then through some incentive mechanisms, they generate revenue for the landowner. So I want to prepare your platform for this new type of NFT because we feel like the productive versions of NFTs, the ones that generate value or generate revenue, are going to be the more dominant, valuable types of NFTs compared to everything else. Because like you were saying earlier, most of the NFTs out there, they depend on this economic theory called the greater fool theory. And you hold this piece of art because you bought it from someone else, and you hope that somebody else buys it from you, and that's the only way to kind of gauge the value of the NFT. It's different when you're talking about an NFT that if you hold it and you do a little bit of marketing, it generates revenue for you. And so I wanted to see, like, have you seen anything like that before, or do you anticipate these things with your team? Like, how do you guys work through, setting up for this type of stuff in terms of putting a value out there for that particular NFT?
Oh, yeah, this is very interesting. I definitely see, that kind of trend is coming. For example, League of Kingdoms, which is one of our partner companies, they have a very interesting token economy in their system. So once you have a lens, people can play on top of my lens, and they have to pay a fee. And every day I got paid by DAI reward. It's a passive income. Yeah, and this kind of the token economy scheme would prevail later on, and we, on our on NFT Bank will definitely, we currently keep track of that kind of rewards from
Interesting.
NFTs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do
And
the
then,
projects have to give you like API access, or is it all right now just dominated by just looking at the blockchain for particular transactions like that?
Oh, that's a good question. So for every data related thing, we try to go on chain first.
On chain,
So
okay.
and then if we cannot extract the info or data points, we can we go to the dApps
Sure.
API.
Sure.
But
Sure.
then always we go first to the on chain data. But then mostly these days, the projects put all of their data. They try to put their data on chain.
Sure.
So we can, because it's a more scalable way to extract data. Because if we use API, we cannot extract data from like 2 or 3 years ago. But then if every data are on chain, then we can extract like several years of data.
So that poses. So I have a couple of questions based on what you're saying. Is what is the percentage of data tracking on chain versus off chain? So the reason why I ask is because I'm curious how much other projects leverage off chain because of, let's say for example, Ethereum. There's no gas fees, so you could do a lot of gaming off chain and then eventually, for a particular asset, put it on chain. So I'm curious how much of your data is actually off chain versus on chain for that reason.
I think it's 70-30. 70 on chain and 30 off chain.
Okay.
So for metadata, it was hard to store everything in on chain because of the cost basis. But then nowadays, like devs are trying to keep most of their data on chain. I think that's a good trend.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So then the next question is, how much of your NFTs are Ethereum-based NFTs compared to, the different blockchain NFTs?
Oh, so for now, we only host Ethereum NFTs. Yeah, but then early next year, we will integrate Matic and Flow. And we are also planning to add Wax.
Okay, interesting. So I'm assuming Ethereum is the biggest platform for NFTs at the moment. So I guess, is there an interest from you guys of supporting all NFT types of platforms, like the different blockchains, or are you just going to stick with, let's say, the top, 3 to 5 different blockchains for NFTs?
I guess, we may have the maintenance issue later on if we integrate lots of different blockchains. Then quality control would be a thing later on. So maybe for now we are just planning to add 3 to 4 blockchains.
Okay.
But then I don't know if once the blockchain spaces get mature later on, then we might consider adding more blockchain. But
I mean, ultimately, like you were saying, DeFi is mainly happening on Ethereum, and then the NFTs convergence of NFTs and DeFi is going to be, obviously on Ethereum too. So it makes sense to stick with Ethereum because that's really where a lot of the innovation is happening.
Right.
Now, going back to the different NFTs that we were talking about earlier, have you seen NFTs that are upgradable? Like, let's say you spend a lot of time on a particular game asset NFT, and let's say that you can sort of understand that a player, put a lot of time on this NFT and got it from level 0 to 100. Is that also trackable on NFT Bank, and so you're able to see all that information too. Yeah, I guess it's all on-chain data. So I wonder how much of an upgradable NFT has an effect on the value compared to everything else.
Oh, that's a good question. It's for upgradable NFTs, they do not put their data. They do not put the updates on chain.
Yeah, right.
They usually happen on off chain database.
Sure.
So we have to pull data, daily or hourly.
Sure.
That's why it's quite hard.
Sure.
For example, Axie NFTs, they gradually they level up. Sometimes level up, and then their EXP increases time to time. But then that kind of data definitely contribute to the rise in price. That we have to keep track of all the updates of stats. Yeah, it's quite hard. But then
interesting.
Some of NFT projects are having that kind of features.
Yeah, I can imagine they get crazy, and it's really because there's like a double-edged sword with being on Ethereum. Ethereum allows you access to the most degree of liquidity because everybody's using Ethereum, but also gives you the other edge of the sword of everything you do on chain has like a gas fee.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't make sense to pay gas fees if you're going from level 1 to 2, right? To have everything on chain. So, but I'm curious, do those types of NFTs, do you notice a difference in value for those versus like art, for example?
Those from art. I don't know. For valuation, we do not often look at crypto arts yet, because it's very hard. Like I mean, the inventor of the piece matters a lot to valuation, but then aside from the creator, then we do not much have metadata. But of course, we can use the visual aspects of the arts. If we use like CNN kind of like deep learning model, we can definitely see what patterns attract people to that. But that's not really reasonable, I guess, for now.
It's very subjective to do it that way, because like a lot of artists may come from like Disney, or they come from like established prestige backgrounds, and they come out with a piece of art and all of a sudden it goes for 100,000, and it's still it's hard to believe that piece might be worth 100,000 even though somebody might paid for it. So basically go ahead, Iman.
In order to come to these like valuation conclusions, you need more data, obviously. And the problem is with a lot of these super expensive pieces is there's only one in existence, and there's not much transacting going on. They just it is what it is at the current time, right?
But then how we approach for now is that for usual in traditional world, like people value arts through several stats. For example, how often this art has been displayed on prestigious museum or galleries, and then how famous the artist is. They use all kinds of measures. But then for now, there are not many there are no virtual museums or galleries yet. Maybe CryptoVoxel can be one of them. But then we don't know how to extract the stats, like how often or how many times this art has been deployed to the gallery. We don't have that kind of data. But then once we get the data, then we can somehow use the old way of the valuing method.
that's an incredibly important message
It is.
to the builder community of the metaverse. Meaning, like, I mean, what you're saying is, in order for the art like valuations to kind of like mature better, we need more metaverse building for gallery displays of this art, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're trying to emulate the traditional world, right, bring it to the virtual world. I mean, we have the platform in existence to build these galleries, and I think there are a couple. I think Somnium has one. I think they bought like that Bitcoin bull thing for like 60,000-70,000. So it's on display in their museum. So I think some of these, like, wealthy gallery owners, they understand that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they just want to flex that they have a lot of money, so they just buy the art. I don't know. But this is, I didn't know that, what you just told me. So me and Will kind of have like a I don't know, like a love-hate relationship with art in a way, mostly because maybe we're a couple of broke guys. We can't afford we can't like, it doesn't register with us because we don't have all this money to be buying art, right? But it seems to be like the prevalent, I don't know, like interest.
You know what? What I think
it
is there's such a flood of art out there that you go to any NFT marketplace, you see art all the time, and it's just because it's the low barrier to entry.
Right.
And I think that's why there's like this cognitive dissonance when you're going to NFTs. You automatically think of art just because there's so much of it. But I think there's a developing kind of layer into NFTs that are actually going to be like something tangible, something with utility, and I think that's where a lot of the value is going to be concentrated compared to the volume of NFTs that are out there. So I think that's why we have like that perspective, because we're not making art, and we just find it like you're saying, from a technical level, we find it hard to gauge the value of art pieces just because there's no data to it. It's just a PNG or a GIF. It gets sold once or twice, and that's about as much data as you can extract from it. So I wonder. I think the next phase of NFTs is what you're saying, Daniel, is going to be more closer to combining DeFi and NFTs. I just don't know. I haven't seen like a proper use case yet, other than like collateralizing a certain wallet of value. But I think NFTs is going to play a huge role in like the incentive mechanism of liquidity mining. Just like we've seen some examples. I think Meme does this, the Meme token. But the other thing that we're seeing as well is I think NFT projects are all going to be associated with ERC20 tokens as a platform. So do you guys plan on issuing an ERC20 token at some point for NFTBank? And I know you guys talk about it. Everybody talks about this. Every business owner in the crypto space is talking about it.
But for now, we don't have plan for issuing tokens because unless issuing token really helps our platform in fundamental way, we are not pursuing issuing tokens, because it might I don't know, like it's not really essential for our platform. So I mean,
a lot of platforms, they like to use the governance excuse, right, when it comes to minting tokens, and
excuse.
But it's a cloudy subject, because in your case, if you have like a decentralized governance model, how the hell does the community do what you guys are doing? You need a very specialized knowledge base in order to operate like this platform. So to decentralize that, it sounds like a nice, beautiful goal. Minting these tokens to distribute the allocation of, I don't know, effort within the platform. But I don't know. It's just the governance question is always. I guess because like nobody's really pulled it off like to the scale that I envision it. To be. So I mean, I guess so. Like your answer is satisfying in the sense that you said that you don't really have a reason to tokenize yet. Maybe if a reason ever comes up, that you can think of.
I think it's ultimately to incentivize your community, and to push, let's say, like projects to come and connect with you guys to deploy their NFTs on your platform. I mean, that could be a reason, but the main point to think about in ERC20 is what we're seeing, because we do a bunch of research on all these platforms, is one of the main ways that NFT platforms monetize is solely through the ERC20 token. So the value that you guys are bringing is clear and it's obvious. But it's not so obvious, how you would generate, money. How do you sustain this, right? And so a lot of projects have this problem. So then they introduce the ERC20 token, which a lot of times makes sense. When it doesn't make sense, it's when projects force an ERC20 token and call it a governance token. And we know that there's no reason to have a governance token on that project.
Right.
And so that's when it's a problem. But I think it makes sense for you guys to do it. I know you guys probably talk about it on a weekly basis, if not more often. But I wouldn't hesitate in implementing it. And I know it looks, like everybody has an ERC20 token. I mean, it kind of looks like it's not the best idea, but I think from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe not, because the thing I really love about your platform is it's like it's ubiquity. That's the word, right? It's a platform that has such a broad reach, meaning like everyone can use it. I correlate it to like a CoinGecko, like a CoinMarketCap type service, and everyone who's interested in this space at some point in time is probably going to interact with your platform. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
So you definitely have like traffic to your advantage. You know what I mean? And there's definitely like a lot of ways to monetize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So a lot of projects, they're a lot more niche, they're focused on like maybe like an individual product or service or offering. So they got to come up with this grandiose scheme of how to like, it's, tokenize things, and, game theory. I don't know how to sum it up, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think you're building like a super valuable platform that can kind of like exist on its own, you know what I mean? And produce a lot of value, not just for yourselves, but for all your users. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder, Daniel, if have you come across enough data, kind of like in the history of the year that you've been operating, where you can kind of give recommendations to projects that are working on NFTs? Like, can you give recommendations on like where they should spend most of their efforts in, like, in what brings the most value to a given NFT?
Oh, wow, that's a hard question. Let me think. From my perspective, from my own perspective as data guy, data transparency matters a lot, because if your data is very transparent and they're very accessible, of course there will be there can be lots of third-party analytics platform that can really show your data, clean your data, and they show it to users in a cleanly organized way, right? That can also bring popularity of NFT projects. So for example, So Rare and X Infinity, they do have lots of third-party analytics platforms, and then that's why new market really can appear. For example, the fantasy sports kind of stuff. It's all based on data. So I guess the API center matters a lot. If you can afford it, of course, why don't you go and write a clean API docs and then robust data pipeline so that the other third parties can easily extract data from your API. That for me, I think that matters a lot.
See, that's interesting, because if you're building an NFT platform, kind of like we are, and then you, as a developer, you want to focus on what brings the most value to your users. You have to think about like what you guys are doing in that context, so that we maximize the value potential of this particular NFT.
Right.
And this is, so the hierarchy that I'm envisioning in my head is transparency in data, whether it's APIs or on chain. Well, obviously on chain is transparent, but then if you can put it all on chain, you're recommending that to do it on chain, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
And so what I'm thinking about now is a lot of the NFTs that we have are the ones that are, you know, extremely successful are the ones that generate revenue. And but part of that is, you know, how many people actually come in contact with this particular asset, right? And how many people come in contact and then stay for several hours, and then how many hours do people stay? So I guess what I'm trying to say is there going to be that granular level of details for a particular NFT, so that when someone comes and looks at my game NFT, right, this game asset that's deployable in Decentraland, they can see, oh, this game, there's only 25 of them to exist and to ever exist, because it's one of 25. And then on top of that, it has, you know, 100 daily active users, and that's generating, let's say, 5,000 mana per month. Is that information potentially viewable on your platform, like that granular information?
Not for now, but we are very interested in getting that kind of data and host it on our platform.
Perfect.
That's fundamentals, so important.
Oh yeah.
We have on our NFT bank, we have indicator charts for every DApp project. So once you go there, you can see lots of indicators showing the fundamentals of the DApp that you are interested in.
Sure.
For example, how many long-term investors are there, and what proportion of users are just short-term flippers? Because this composition matters a lot, because if you have long-term believer in the platform, of course, the ecosystem would grow gradually and in a healthy way. But if there are so many flippers, they just, you know, there for a short-term interest, then, you know, later on, like the price of the NFT assets are fluctuating a lot, and then eventually it might collapse at some point. So yeah, we definitely try to gather as much as that kind of fundamental and the economic indicators, data points into our platform.
That's awesome. That's really huge for us, Daniel, because a lot of the stuff that we do there's a lot of information that we can extract. I mean, a lot of it. And I think every piece of information that we extract from the interactions that people have with our NFTs is what brings it value, and is the reason why people are going to want to buy it and deploy it in the metaverse. And then without this ability to show that data like in an independent way, where you don't have to necessarily come to our website to see what's happening. You can go to NFT Bank and independently verify, there's, thousands of users per month on this particular NFT and is generating this much money. I mean, that is huge for developers like us. And I'm sure there's a lot of developers like us wanting that same level of fidelity and transparency so that it brings the most value. So, yeah, I think what you guys are doing is fantastic, and we can't wait to put our stuff on there, just to even work together on like creating that level of degree of detail that some NFTs require in order to gain that value and traction.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Really.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. Like we try to talk about it without sounding I don't know, like egotistical in a way, but we're really trying to push like this space to more like producing these productive assets is how we like to call them, the productive versus the non-productive assets. So far we haven't seen much production out of NFTs, and that's really what we're trying to kickstart, with our metas and stuff like that. So for sure we're probably gonna be contacting you in the future.
Yeah.
You know, outside of this, you know, have some more discussions, because I like everything I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And this, it's one of the first things I told Will, is like, whenever I started investigating NFT Bank, I was like, I could see this becoming something like essential to everybody who owns a meta in the future. You know, like whether it's something we need to display or something that your platform manages, and then it's all interconnected to our users somehow, one way or another. Like, we need to figure that out, basically. How our NFT owners can have the confidence, especially if you're a prospective buyer of these metas. You need this data, you need this information to be like a confident buyer in the space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing you said during this discussion, which I think is most important to me, because I'm in the NFT space, and I'll be honest, I don't own many NFTs. I mean, that's what's hilarious, because I'm exactly the guy you described at the start of this talk. Like, I'm scared I'm going to be the guy who buys it and nobody else wants to buy it from me. You know, so I love what you're doing also, and can't wait to, you know, do more work with you in the future.
So Daniel, do you guys often work with like developers that are part of the projects to kind of help like customize some of the data that you put on your platform?
Oh yeah, we get requests from developers and NFT projects for customizable or specific data points that they want to show off. We will definitely accommodate that later on.
Okay, excellent. Well, Daniel, thank you for joining us. It's been a little about an hour so far. So I want to thank you for joining us, and let's keep a dialogue open, because I think what you guys are doing is fantastic, and we want to make sure that you know, we contribute to what you guys are doing, and hopefully, you know, this really blows up in the next, you know, year or two, because we feel like there's going to be a huge wave in NFTs in the next 12 to 24 months. And you know, hopefully, you know, we can collaborate on, you know, contributing to your platform with our stuff, and then we can just kind of collaborate on everything that we were working on.
Yeah, for sure. Great. That would be great. Awesome.
All right, Daniel, we'll talk soon, and we'll see everybody next week.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you can follow.
Yeah, absolutely. All the contact information for Daniel will be in the description. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right, later.
All right.